Everybody, welcome. We're so super happy that you did join us this evening. You are not going to hear my voice much tonight because we've got an amazing guest with us. Just going to give you a little bit of backstory of some of the things that are going on here at the corporate office. I know many of you have been joining a number of different trainings. We've been talking a lot about social selling, how you keep your business rolling in this amazing time that we're all navigating through together. One of the really cool things that's happening behind the scenes as well is Patty Brisbane, your founder, is retooling some of the projects that the Patty Brisbane Foundation for Women's Sexual Health, a foundation we all love and it's near and dear to all of our hearts, but she's got some new projects that she's put in play. And one of the things the foundation is doing is upgrading a number of the advisors they're having coming into the foundation. And additionally, really upgrading the outreach and content that is being produced. So Pure Romance is going to be in the good fortune of being able to be the recipient of much of that content to help all of you answer questions with clients, how to improve your businesses, and perhaps along the way, improve your own intimate life. So I am super excited because look, I get to see Patty embark on some projects, and right now she's got a fire and passion that is renewed in her. And she has been working very closely with your speaker tonight, Dr. Michael Krychman, and you're going to see his face around the Pure Romance, the Pure Romance land, if you will, in our community going forward, because he is functioning as a medical advisor for the Patty Brisbane Foundation, as well as Pure Romance. So I'm not going to tell you all his credentials. I'm not going to steal his thunder. I know he's going to give you a little bit of insight in his background and his focus, but I think what you're going to find is this information that he's giving you tonight is going to be amazing to take to your own VIP groups and to help you really navigate through selling product. And when you are in those digital parties, being able to pass these tips along. And then when you get back to doing in-person parties, I'm sure this information will carry with you. Mark your calendar for the first Thursday of every month, because guess what? This is a series. And so we're going to be bringing you different topics over the next several months to fill all of your buckets with some amazing content. So without further ado, Michael, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Right. Thank you, Cheryl. So as I get ready, I want to, and then I think we're good to go right now. So, you know, Cheryl, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk with the consultants. Many of you may have remembered me, familiar face. I was fortunate enough to be at one of the world meetings, and it was really a spectacular event. Just some background for those of you who aren't really familiar with what I do or my background or what have you. I'm a board certified gynecologist. I have a variety of different positions. I have a private practice. I work at the university for a high-risk breast ovarian center. I also am a sex therapist and counselor. So I really bridge that gap between the medical and psychological. And I know that those are things that you certainly will be seeing as well. I have been on the medical board, and I'm really excited about the new position as the consultant for Pure Romance. And really, you know, we are repivoting and we are rebranding, and really we want the Patty Brisbane Foundation to be the primary authority for which you go to seek medical information, whether it's sexual health or wellness related or what have you. So we are really interested in developing a premier board of really high caliber medical consultants, really to help you help your clients in the end. And again, just remember, you will certainly be seeing me as well as other medical people from Patty Brisbane Foundation, but we want to kind of bridge this gap between the PBF and Pure Romance and really be an asset and something for you to really lean on during times of questions and times of concern. I wanted to kind of just jump right in and kind of tell you what I've been doing during quarantine. Here are some of the things we've done. You know, we've been fortunate enough to see some beautiful sunsets in where I live in Laguna Beach on the East Coast. I was celebrating a birthday. In quarantine, I really did some coloring. Many of you may know I have a tie collection and finally was able to get through the closet. As many of you know, I have two teens who are homeschooling. So again, I will really sympathize and empathize with all of you because I know the roles that you are taking on are astronomical. And you've really risen to the occasion of being a mom, a teacher, a seller, you know, and let's not also forget, you know, we'd like to think that, you know, most households are liberated, but, you know, primarily if you look at the information, women are still the primary caregivers of kids. They're the cookers, the cleaners. So all your normal jobs have been amplified. And really, it's an asset and a tribute to you that you've been able to kind of get up to speed in such a quick way and with such elegance and grace. It's really exciting. I wanted to kind of just give you an evolution, and I really want to kind of help you frame that what's going on right now with communities, with society, with coronavirus. It's really just part of the evolution of what has been going on for quite some time. You know, we see it that we have had much progress over many, many years, and we've really used the internet in a variety of different ways, whether we've come to agree with it or not. You know, there's websites that we have, that people have used in order to meet other people. There's even things like virtual reality. And again, as for sexual accessories, we know that there's, you know, Wi-Fi remote control, where one person can be in the bedroom, the other person could be in the den, or even outside, or what have you, and they still stay connected. And again, remember, we're moving from a society that was very mobile and traveling to really a really connected and close together relationship, close together connections, which may be challenging at the time. But I think it's important to recognize that we've really been using technology for quite some time. It's been really exciting. And I think this is a really important opportunity. And I want to share with you some of the things that have been going on in terms of what we're learning about people, about personalities, about relationships, and what have you. I think really, really important to understand that things are changing. We know from some of the literature and some of the preliminary studies that during this quarantine, the amount of sex that people are having may be decreased, but they're much more likely to be sexually experimental, and they're much more interested in exploring new sexual accessories, kind of breaking the box and kind of thinking outside their, what would we would name as their conventional norm. But again, understand that this is an evolving understanding of how quarantine has affected both single people and those that are quarantining together or apart, how they can maintain their connection. You know, I think it's important to understand that, you know, sex on the net has been around for some time. This is one of my favorite jokes. You know, want to hear a joke about my penis? Wait, never mind, it's too long. Want to hear a joke about my vagina? Don't worry, you'll never get it. I think it's really important to understand that there are, you know, primal basic differences between men and women. And as relationships evolve and change, I think we need to understand how that can be used to our advantage as we relate to our clients, their clients' partners, and what have you. I wanted to play this little quick video because I just think it's really something really exciting of how you have seen and experienced some of the challenges that have gone on with your Zoom meetings. Cheryl, I'm wondering if you could play it. It's not playing through me. I don't know why.
Got it. Let me see if it will play for me, and I will give you the thumbs up if I got it. Let's see.
It worked on my other one, but.
Got it. Hold on. I am sorry. It looks like it's doing the same thing for me, Michael. Sorry about that.
Okay. I mean, after we're done, I can certainly find it, and I can open it on a different presentation, and then we can show it. I mean, um, it's a good demonstration if you type in, TikTok and you do 8 people, on your meeting of Zoom. It's really quite funny to see all the characters that you have. And I was just telling Cheryl that I had a major Zoom debacle earlier this week when I was in a meeting, and a friend of mine just started texting me pictures, and those came through to the whole meeting. So, I was really interested in kind of your funny stories that have happened. And again, I think these are something that we've risen to the challenges, and we really understand those are things that really we can address. I think we're all facing new realities, and I think that you, as consultants, have really risen to the concept of moving your business from both an in-person to this virtual, and it's really a moving target, and you've been kind of really understanding how to really optimize your position, how to connect with your clients and what have you. And again, it's been challenging because of those other issues that you're dealing with. Homeschooling, you're now teachers when you didn't really were signing up to be a teacher as well, running your business and really trying to optimize everything. And we're really, I'm really very excited to be a part of this community and this family, really, because, the stories that I hear from Chris and Patty and Cheryl really, really make my heart grow, because I really understand how dedicated and how important this is for all of you. And it's not really about selling sexual accessories or selling something. You're really promoting and empowering women to make good choices about themselves, whether it's sexually, financially, wellness, and what have you. So really exciting times, lots of opportunities to connect with a lot of people, even outside even your physical domain, in terms of learning from each other and learning to optimize your experience. How did you manage? Well, kudos to Chris and Cheryl and their wonderful team. And I really think that, the Pure Romance, I call them a family. And I really saw that when I was at the World Meeting, and you guys just embraced it. You moved on, and then really you're killing it. You guys are doing an amazing job. We're seeing all those benefits. And I really want to make sure that you guys recognize that it's far reaching. It's not only to Pure Romance, but the Patty Brisbane Foundation as well understands how hard you're working for all women that you are fortunate enough to interact with. So, men and women react differently to sexual function. It's really important to recognize that quarantine may be problematic, and as things go on and on, it gets a little more challenging. And I think it is really interesting to remember that as people are opening up and as states are opening up, people are still very cautious, very concerned. It's really going to be our new normal. And how are we going to learn to optimize what we're doing with our partners, with our work life, and how those can be interactive? I approached Cheryl and Chris and Patty and said that we really need to do a program kind of like this, COVID and Cuddling, in order to help women understand what some of the challenges are and how to give them some really clinical pearls, some really teaching points, one line, quick fixes in order to help not only your own sexual life and intimacy relationship, but also help your clients as well. So I don't know if any of you have seen When Harry Met Sally. I think this is one of the key issues. Harry Met Sally is a wonderful movie. It's available on Amazon, which we've all been kind of overwhelmed with, whether it's Amazon or Netflix. It's a good movie to watch if you haven't seen it, and it really shows how women can fake orgasm. And this is Sally in a picture where she is in a restaurant and she's faking an orgasm. And I always say, why do so many women fake orgasms? It's because so many men fake foreplay. And I think that's an important concept to remember when you're talking to your clients, to kind of bridge that gap. You know, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, but again, we're both planets. And again, understanding that effective communication is the most important issue in terms of optimizing relationships and optimizing sexual function as well. So again, really, really exciting opportunities that you have. What about, you know, coronavirus and sexual intimacy? I alluded to the concept that, you know, things are rolling in terms of research. We are learning a lot about what's going on or not going on when it comes to relationships. And again, people are quarantining together. Very often we see that the sex act might decrease in frequency, but sexual exploration is really an important concept to eliminate boredom, to really bring back this vitality and excitement. One of the really good books that I'm currently reading, and I would recommend it to everybody, is called Tell Me What You Want. It's really a large sample of over 41,000 men and women, and it is really looking at sexual fantasies and talking about what people are fantasizing about, what's important. And believe it or not, sexual accessories are really important, and enhanced intimacy, enhanced communication, certainly very, very important. So it's actually quite exciting because it gives you some clinical tips, but really for people that are talking, you know, woman to woman in terms of how to effectively communicate your wants, your needs with your partner as well. So what about intimacy? Is it really important? And I think this is important to recognize that, you know, sex and cuddling and touch is really important because there's biological changes that happen. You feel good, you have more serotonin and dopamine, you have this bonding hormone, oxytocin, which increases. And very importantly, sex may boost your immunity. You know, we're all under a lot of stress. Our cortisol levels are challenged, and having intimacy can certainly facilitate this immune boosting, you know, physiological change. So, you know, my concept is, you know, look good, feel good, sexual health, general health, they're very much intertwined. And it really fits very well with your mission and vision. We know that if you are intimate and you will have decreased anxiety, improved sleep, your relationship will even be better. It's interesting, there was some studies that showed that men who are deprived of touch, you know, get angry and hostile, and women who are deprived of touch get depressed or withdrawn. So it's very important that, you know, to remember that it's not just about sexual activity, it's about intimacy and connection. And, you know, I really try to bring that back forward as a counselor and therapist to understand that it's a, you know, a balance between mind, body, and spirit in terms of overall general health and sexual health and overall female wellness. Why is sex so important? And I think it's really important to recognize that our motivations are very different for when we have sex, but sex has a lot of benefits. You know, we used to think that sex was just for procreation and not recreation, but now we know there's a lot of things, and some of them are listed here. We know, you know, most men will know about prostate cancer and reduced cancer risk. I'll tell you that there's some data on females and female cancer, that if you have a good intimate relationship, it may decrease your rate because of different second messenger hormones. Pelvic floor is becoming more and more of an issue and concern, especially, after childbirth. We're seeing more and more women complaining of, pelvic floor problems, whether it's pain, whether it's urinary incontinence, whether it is just lack of sensation. So again, using it and using the pelvic floor muscles can certainly strengthen that. We know that sleep, self-esteem, we talked about immunity, certainly very important. It's good aerobic exercise for heart and stamina and calories. And again, very important about this oxytocin and endorphin. So a lot of downstream chemical issues that are certainly very important. And we know people who have enhanced relationships, improved sexual function, they live longer, they have less chronic disease, they're more compliant with their medication. So there's a lot of benefits to improve sexual function, which I think is really important. And some of these really are very, very important to relate to your clients. And just as an aside, I think, Cheryl, we're going to be taping this. So again, feel free to use some of this content with your group of women, because I think a lot of this is new information. Really understanding that being an empowered woman of the 21st century really is about taking control over your medical health, your sexual health, your psychological health, your financial health, and what have you. So again, these are just some small snippets that you can certainly use in your presentations. What about some quick tips for enhancing pleasure, whether you're alone and with a partner? And we talked about this sexual exploration, understanding that, we are breaking the norm of the penis and vagina, understand that there's a lot of erotic and erogenous zones, and we're seeing that people are experimenting more with breasts, the anal area, even this new concept of having an orgasm just by nipple stimulation really coming into the forefront. So again, it's not necessarily what you're doing and who you're doing it with. It's really about how does that the context in which you are exploring interesting things. I told Cheryl today it was nice to kind of put on a shirt and tie and pants and get myself together. And I think we need to do this more often than we do during this quarantine. Very often we roll out of bed, our offices are in our bedroom, there's challenges that we have. I was on a Zoom call earlier today and some kids barged into the room, which is very frustrating. But I think what we need to do is plan special days, plan date night, keep that still going where you're separated even throughout the day. So it's nice that when you get back together, you're kind of rekindled. And I think it's okay to journey into each other's worlds. I don't really like card games, but, I'm playing cards with my partner and understanding that those are really important issues and understanding those things which your partner may enjoy. Change the time and the location, change what you're doing. We talk about water play. We talk about this midday lunchtime fun versus having intimate activities just, Friday night or Saturday morning. And again, if you look at some of the data, 75% of people have sex Friday night or Saturday morning, and that's probably the worst time to be intimate. I really advocate early morning sexual activity. Why? Because sex is the kids, the interruptions could be less, the school day, the work day hasn't started, your hormone levels are at its peak. So again, this may be an optimal time for some people. So again, thinking about how to change it up. We all have a sexual script and, it gets challenging if you're repeating the same thing over and over and over again. What about exploring your wild side? We talk about ice, cameras, videos, new positions, even new products like feather ticklers or handcuffs or arousal gels. And again, these can be explored in terms of fantasy, wild side, even edging or stimulating yourself close to climax, then stopping, letting tension build and culminate before you return to baseline and what have you. And again, exploring sex on the net. And I really talk about this really in the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think that it's really important to do things together with your partner. You can FaceTime your partner. You can have phone sex with your partner. You can watch erotica or erotic movies together. And again, if you're isolated and you're alone, let's not forget our single clients who are really exploring a variety of different venues, whether it's to meet partners, to chat, to hang out. You know, it's okay to test your limits in the privacy of your own home and explore different fantasies through online connection. So I think it's really important. We talked about the fantasy study, and again, a lot of things moving along in that respect. You know, your brain is your largest sexual organ, which I think is really very important. And it's really important to get in the right mindset and stay focused and really recognize that it's okay to set limits. It's okay to take breaks from work. It's okay to connect, go for a walk with your partner, get some fresh air and what have you. You know, it's challenging. There's a lot of stressors on us, and sex and connection with a partner can be a good outlet as well. You know, we talk about spicing it up and indulge in your fantasies and talk about it. Again, that book is Tell Me What You Want. It's really, I think it is a really good asset and really talks about sexual exploration, how you can talk to your partner or how you can explore fantasies on your own without your partner to really enrich your self-awareness, your self-understanding, both for yourself and for your clients as well. So, you know, try to think outside the box when you're thinking about some of the issues that people may be experiencing when they're in quarantine. I talk about mindfulness really, and I think this is really important. And for those of you who are not familiar with the concept, it's really about, you know, thought recognition, thought awareness, thought replacement. And we have thoughts that kind of travel through our brain, and maybe it's a negative thought, and really understand that it may be troublesome for us. And this is really about understanding and recognizing and really staying focused on where you are, focusing on the positivity and what have you. We know the brain-body connection is really, you know, quite important. And it's really important both for general health and wellness, as well as sexuality as well. So, you know, there's a great book, Better Sex Through Mindfulness, also very interesting. I like that book a lot. We practice mindfulness. And, you know, I always say when you eat a piece of chocolate, really eat a piece of chocolate. Take your time, get the texture, get the feel, you know, swirl it around in your mouth, understand all the nuances, really be present as you're eating a piece of chocolate. Too often we just like pop a little piece in our mouth, chew and swallow, and we're done. And we didn't even take the time to enjoy it. So this is kind of, you know, a stop and smell the roses, stay focused experience. We know as well that once you practice mindfulness, even if you practice mindfulness during the sexual experience, your reaction is much more intense. What that means is if your mind and body are connected, if you're focusing on your breathing and how things feel, you're going to be much more in the zone, on the playing field, in really enjoying the sexual experience versus being on the bleachers or monitoring your behavior. So when you're having sex, you have to be having sex down here, right on the playing field. We don't want you to be monitoring your behavior. So mindfulness helps you connect in that way. So again, really understand the mind, body, spirit connection, very important. What about some other things as we are experiencing unprecedented stress, even though, you know, there's a whole lot of states that are opening up. I'm planning to reopen my office very shortly. And again, I've been going into the university, seeing patients both by telehealth and in person. So these are some really practical suggestions that I really want to impart for the consultants, and really so they can help their clients as well. Don't forget vitamins, exercise, meditate, and I think we all need alone time. You know, the concept of, never being alone is really challenging. We need to plan that in for our day, and it's okay to pencil that time in. Uh, how do you reduce stress? With sleep. Make sure you're eating well and make time for intimacy and connection. I think it's also important, and I recently started this as well, a gratitude journal. And I think it helps us focus on all the positive things that are going on rather than get trapped in the negative thoughts of what if. And a lot of us are very, very concerned about what's going to go on. So being grateful for what we have, where we are, where we're going to be, I think is really important. And just, a few entries a day, just really jot things down really quick, nothing formal. And again, this is about imprinting new thoughts and really helps change your outlook when faced with a lot of stress. How do you stay healthy with COVID? I wanted to kind of just reiterate these things. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue. Throw it in the waste paper basket. Stay home if you're sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, mouth, and unwashed hands. Sanitize soap with soap at least 20 seconds. I make my kids sing happy birthday slowly. They kind of put their hands in the water and then they're done. But again, I think really important. And again, depending on where you're living, whether a mask is feasible or not, it's always good to do that, to wear a mask to both protect yourself as well as protect others. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions or concerns that you may have. I wanted to kind of conclude with this, and this is, when I was brought on as a medical advisor for the Patty Brisbane Foundation. I was fortunate enough to work with Patty very, very closely for many, many years, and really was on the sideline in terms of understanding about the consultants. And then when I was really engaged with Cheryl and Chris and their entire team, what I call them, they're the superheroes of execution and organization and implementation. I was really dumbfounded about, how the consultants do what they do. And I'm really privileged to really be a part of that. And really, I want to become an asset to you, just like the Patty Brisbane Foundation. I told Patty, I said, the Patty Brisbane Foundation and Pure Romance were two really silos that were working, side by side, but now there's a really good, bridge between them. That's a two-way traffic. And we want Pure Romance consultants to influence what we do and how we do it at the Patty Brisbane Foundation. And the Patty Brisbane Foundation wants to become the primary authority for all of you. And I really thought long and hard of what do the primary, what is the role of the, pre-romance consultants? And after, a deep dive and understanding and, countless meetings with the executive and the management team, I kind of came up with this concept that you're very inspirational and you inspire your clients and yourselves and other women as well. So you give information, you normalize, you really provide a lot of support, you personalize that support. Everybody is included. And I think that's really, really important. It's a really large family that really has a variety of participants. You encourage relationships, whether it is an intimate relationship or a friendship or a best friendship or the relationship that you have with Patty. And last but not least, I think you elevate not only yourself, but your clients as well. You want to elevate your whole entire life, whether it's your business, your sexuality, your relationship with your family, your friends, your children, your financial relationship. I think elevate is a really good word because I think that's what is really, really one of the optimal words to describe, the Pure Romance consultants. And I think it's important not to lose our path. this is what we planned, this is what's happening, and I think we're all working together as a big family. And I think, the family has gotten bigger with, the repivoting of the Patty Brisbane Foundation, and we're really excited to be welcomed into the Pure Romance family as well. And I really think, it is really amazing at what you have accomplished as being in it together with the executive, with Cheryl and Chris, in terms of getting up to speed and really, really excelling in a challenging time. This also reminds me of what the Pure Romance consultants are. Choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I think it's really clear. Anytime I interact with any consultant, they really are passionate and they love what they do. And I hope that comes through in terms of how I'm committed and how I want the Patty Brisbane Foundation Board to be committed to work in collaboration with you as consultants for Pure Romance. I have a very special place for Patty in my heart. We've kind of worked together quite closely. We've become fast friends and really helping really develop and really nurture the Patty Brisbane Foundation for Women's Sexual Health. And I think these quotes are really, really near and dear to me. To truly become your best self, you must get over your fear of failure. And again, I think Patty is an inspiration for us all. And smile and let everyone know today you're a lot stronger than you were yesterday. And I think that's a really important concept. We're getting better at this as we pivot and as we move into a different paradigm. And I think it's exciting. We're facing challenges head on. I want to conclude with, we have Sex on the Brain. And again, please follow me on Twitter. Cheryl will provide a website, an email address where you can certainly send any of your questions, concerns, and we're all in this together. You shouldn't feel alone. There's questions that all warrant answers, and we're really excited to be a part of this. So with that, Cheryl, I'm going to exit out of the slide presentation.
Perfect. I have a few questions for you. You ready?
Okay. Do you want me to, what's your thought? Do you want me to see if I could find that other presentation, or will you be able to put in that website for us? I think that there was a different version that was, if we can just post that, that would be great.
Yeah, we absolutely can post that video for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, let me see if I have it here and I can just copy it and post it.
Oh, sexualhealth@pureromance.com. Is that the website?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, sexualhealth@pureromance.com, and we'll put that in the presentation as well. And again, we really want to be an asset for you to answer any questions or concerns. So please feel free. Cheryl, do you have, what kind of questions do you have for us?
So somebody was rounding back to what you said about how much sex is typically had on a Friday or Saturday. Did you say 70%?
Yes, it's actually higher. 75% of couples, believe it or not, have sex Friday night or Saturday morning. And that's probably a challenging time. You think about it, it's Friday, it's the full work week, you've finished all your stuff, and people are pretty much tired. And again, understand that, the majority of couples are having sex at those time frames and in missionary position. So people are not exploring all the benefits of alternative sexual positioning, exploring different levels of arousal. And again, we have to kind of normalize that it's okay to experiment. It's okay to go online and look at erotica together. It's okay to suggest different sexual positions as well.
If you have a question for Dr. K, go ahead and pop it in the chat. We'll get to as many of them as we possibly can. I actually had a question for you because you piqued my interest. When you were talking about the fact that there is research that shows that potentially more sex could help with prostate cancer, I had not heard the stat relating to women. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, this was some studies out of France, and they looked at women who were engaging in intimacy, having good orgasm, and they really didn't differentiate that, but they really kind of put it under the umbrella of intimacy, connection, and really showed that if you were more sexually, if you had more intimacy and sexuality, the way they defined it, you may have a lowered rate of breast cancer. And
Oh,
that's really
interesting.
remarkable, right? And we understand that because remember, when you have an orgasm or when you are cuddling with somebody, you have hormones that are released. You have dopamine, you have serotonin, you have endorphins, you have downstream effects. You know, that's why I say always, you know, after a man has an orgasm, he's asleep within 15 seconds, right? Because he has all those hormones and endorphins that are, you know, forcing him to fall asleep. So I think those are important things to recognize. You know, I think that's a really exciting opportunity, is that we can now bridge that gap and say sex is great and it's wonderful for sex sake and for pleasure and for excitement and for orgasm, and those feel good and those feel great, but there's a lot of other things that are beneficial. You feel better, you're less stressed, you sleep better, you may have less chronic disease. So those are things to talk about as well. I saw, Cheryl, in the chat column, somebody asked about what is the names of the book. So there's one book called Tell Me What You Want, which I think is by, his first name is Justin something, but it's a great book, quick, easy read, and really looking at sexual fantasies, what people are wanting to do. And it's really interesting. A lot of people are really interested in BDSM. And I had my eyes opened with that, you know, exploring sexual fantasies and different positions and what have you. Certainly very, very important. The other book was called Better Sex with Mindfulness. That's a book by Lori Brotto. And again, that's one of my personal favorites. It's really how to get your head in the game. And I think those are really important books that, you know, if somebody is feeling disconnected from her partner or even having low desire, you know, I think those are really important. And you know, the best thing that people can do is what's called bibliotherapy, is, you know, just by virtue of you tuning in and talking and listening, you guys are going to have better sex because you're more consciously aware. So that's one thing. And if you pick up a book that is educational, or you read some good sexual education materials, and you transmit those to your clients, they're going to automatically get better. It's a treatment, believe it or not. So I know that it's a very touchy situation about, you know, a very touchy situation about providing treatment guidelines. But, you know, I think women to women talking about what they are reading and what's on the bestseller list and, you know, self-help books is really important. So I think really important. And we see Crystal has been so generous and looked up those books by Lori Brotto and Justin Lee Miller. And again, they're on your chat things as well.
Very cool. Here's another question for you. How would you suggest helping a woman who's experiencing low libido right now because of everything that's going on in the world?
Well, what I will tell you is it's completely normal, okay? So lowered sexual interest waxes and wanes. It gets better, it gets worse. Remember, you know, I always say, look to your right, look to your left. One of you has a sexual problem, and it's very, very common. So number one is really don't over pathologize, meaning don't make it so cumbersome that you think that there's something seriously wrong. And it's very common to have situational issues. We are having a really serious situation. It's like, it's normal when somebody passes away to feel sad and grief. It's normal to not feel like desire. And I think the other important thing to remember is to give women permission to not have what I will call spontaneous desire. Now, let me give you a good example, and this is probably the best way. You know, I am not one of these crazy people that wake up in the morning and say, oh my God, I'm so excited. Let's go to the gym. Let's work out. I couldn't care less if I ever went to the gym, right? But, my buddy says, you know what, Mike, come to the gym. You'll work out. You'll feel better. You'll sweat. The stress will go away. So, I have other things to do. I have to cook, to clean, to fix, the car. I have papers to write. I have a whole laundry list, but I say, you know what? I don't really want to go, but I'll go anyway. So I go to the gym almost begrudgingly, and then I'm on the treadmill and I'm starting to work out and sweat and feel good, and my heart rate is racing. I'm catching up with a friend that I haven't seen, and I'm feeling good, and I'm going, wow, the gym is great. I should go to the gym more often. I don't know why I don't want to go to the gym all the time. I should go to the gym, right? And I leave and I go to the gym, I go home, and I'm still feeling pretty good. And then I wake up the next morning and I say, only lunatics want to go to the gym. Who has time for the gym? So what that story kind of tells you, it's okay to be neutral. It's okay not to crave sex or want sex, or not to be lurking around every corner interested in, having sexual activity. Sometimes it's okay to start off as neutral. And when the sexual experience happens, then you get much more interested in pursuing it. So it's okay to give women permission. Remember, the other thing is, sometimes there's a biological component. And Cheryl, when you're under stress, your hormones decline. Your testosterone is in zero. It really has a biological effect. So it's not only biology, and it's psychology. And again, I think we need to take time. One is not make it too much of a big deal. It's situational. Talk about it with your partner. And again, really try to focus on self-care. When I mean self-care, that means really take care of yourself. If exercise works for you, exercise. If reading a great book, read a great book. If coloring, then color. If watch a Netflix crazy series, then do that. It's important to prioritize yourself. And I would also give the caveat, and I'm really trying myself, is limit the amount of news that you read, limit the amount. It's okay to go on an embargo, and if you do it, it's for a short period of time, but it's really easy to get all consumed. So sound bites are okay with news. I try to go at least 24 hours. Today I'm on a no news day. So I am, my phone is for coloring and it's for other things. I don't go on social media. I don't tweet. It's my day off. And it gives you a lot of peace. So again, recognize that everybody handles stress differently. It's okay. And remember, you're not alone, that there are healthcare professionals all over the country, all over the world, that are specifically trained to do that. I do counseling all the time. Believe me, my counseling has been out the roof because this problem of marital changes and, people in close quarters fighting and no sexual desire, certainly a problem as well.
All right, so here's another question. This one's from Lisa. She said, can lack of vaginal sex cause pain when sex actually does happen the next time? What can be done to help it be less painful? Is it more sex more often?
So again, there is some concept of use it or lose it. So we know that women that have frequent sexual activity, they tend to have physiological or anatomical changes. So, the concept of not having sex and then resuming sex can be twofold. And let's talk about each real quickly. Medically, there's a variety of different things. And it's really, is there vaginal dryness? Is there muscle spasm? Are there other things going on, right? Is it a discrepancy of the partner? Is it a lock and key issue? Is it a huge key going into a small lock? And that might be the problem. So again, there may be some biological component. Now, also, let's say on the flip side, you haven't had sex for a while. There has to be a reason. No partner available, for whatever reason. And again, we have to address those issues. And I have one saying that I always use all along. It's not about the what, it's really about the why. So I really want to know why they haven't had sex before I answer the question after, right? So again, there's a lot of things you can do. And, I'm a sexual medicine gynecologist. I think that sometimes women forget that there's a body attached to the sexual organs. And, we're about 50 years behind. When a man comes in and has a sexual problem, what do? We check for blood pressure, we check for cholesterol, we check for diabetes. What did we used to do? What's the number one thing when a woman comes in and she has low libido? We say, tell me how you're feeling. Are you stressed out? Are you anxious? Oh, your vagina hurts. You must be anxious, or you must be depressed, or you're not getting aroused, or what have you. We blame the woman. We don't recognize that there's biological components. So I think that's one thing to remember. The
That's so
biology
true.
and psychology go hand in hand. The things that people can do, I really think that it's really important, to encourage self-pleasure, to encourage self-awareness. It is sad to me, in the 21st century, I can tell you, at least I see one woman at least a week who does not even know her anatomy. She does not know where the clitoris is. She does not know what arousal is. So I think body awareness is really important, and we have to stop shaming women. We have to empower them to embrace their bodies, whatever they are, young, old, skinny, heavy, black, white, whatever. Embrace who you are, embrace your body, embrace your sexuality. And I think, there's still this taboo about self-stimulation. And again, there's a lot of, hopefully we'll do some talks about, vibrators, and because there's so many myths about sexuality that it can be really, really challenging as well. So we have
Absolutely.
to break through those barriers.
I love it. Here's another one for you. This one's from Bianca. Is there a high percentage of couples who watch erotica together? And is their relationship stronger because they do?
And that's interesting. There is, if you look at that book by Justin that was up a little bit earlier, it talks about fantasy and it talks about erotica. And it's not an insignificant proportion of couples, over 50% of couples that watch erotica together. Remember that men and women are different. Men are much more visual, women are much more literary. So again, you have to have that fine balance. And sometimes erotica is a venue for fantasy exploration. The biggest example is, maybe you want to have more of an open relationship, or maybe you want to incorporate another partner and you don't really know how to do it. Sometimes these are segues into fantasy exploration in a safe environment, right? And it's still unreal. I think, people who watch erotica tend to be much more sexually communicative. They tend to be more open about their wants, their needs. But there's potential downfalls, right? You want to make sure that people are not, remember that erotica is fantasy. It's not reality. That means in we don't want to body shame. We don't, for both men and women, right? So, most women are hugely breasted and they have these, men who have massive penises, and that's not reality. So remember, you have to focus all of what you're doing um, on this specific issue and understand that it's not necessarily reality. So again, take it with a grain of salt. I think there's a lot of pathways to improve sexual togetherness as a couple, and it's not also the sexual act. Sometimes taking a walk hand in hand by the beach, or sitting outside and reading together, or cuddling is just as important as, intercourse.
Love it. All right, one more question.
Okay.
And I know we're running a little bit over time, but I'm wondering if people
That's
will hang
okay.
in us because I love this question. This is from Dolly. She says, research goes both ways. Do you believe that desire or arousal come first? Is that drastically changed in the times that we're in now with COVID?
So again, I'll tell you that the medical community really has been split about this. Men are much more linear: desire, arousal, orgasm, resolution in a linear fashion. And even the challenges about arousal, the classification now has. We used to keep desire as a separate entity over here and arousal as a separate entity here. And now we've merged them together to say it's a desire interest disorder. And I hate to use that word disorder, but when it becomes very distressing, that is really important. That's when people need help and guidance. What do I personally believe? I think there are women who start off as neutral. You give them permission to be neutral and they have great sex, because I ask them, you have no desire. Tell me when the last time you had sex was. And they say, oh, it was Saturday night. It was really great. I had an orgasm and I really enjoyed it. But, understand, put it in the context. She's a busy, busy woman. She is managing a household. She is cooking, cleaning, teaching, running a business, managing the bills, shopping, dealing with probably her parents and his parents and teachers and a whole variety of things. Her plate is full. Sex isn't on the top of her priority list when she's thinking. So I do believe that there is a subset of women that start off as neutral, and once you give them permission to be neutral, it's about the situation. You have to optimize. You have to educate men, right? And sometimes, or their partners, how to optimize the situation so they'll react, right?
Yes.
So, what I always say is, men are like the rule book. Men like rule books, right? They like soccer, they like tennis, they like golf. There's rules. They like to know it. So they come home, right? And they bring flowers, and, Thursday night they have sex. So Monday they come home and they bring flowers and there's no sex. Why? Because he didn't read the signals that he needed to pick up his dirty socks, empty out the dishwasher, and give the kids a bath. So very often it's about communication and learning about what are the optimal situations. Women say, I'm overwhelmed. I have too much to do. Like, why can't he get off his butt and fold the goddamn laundry? And then I would be much more receptive, but I'm folding the laundry while he's kicking back and I'm already angry and resentful. So sometimes it's about the situation. Are there women that have spontaneous desire? Certainly. So again, my concept is what I coin the term called precision sexuality. And what precision sexuality is, every person's experience of sexual function is unique. It's different. It has context, which is really important. It's an offshoot from precision medicine. There's not one paradigm, right? So not every woman will experience breast cancer the same way. No woman will experience sexual arousal the same way. Yes, we may have similarities, but everybody's journey in sexual exploration and response is very unique and different.
Mm.
And we have to embrace that.
I love it. I love it.
Great.
I always love the models that used to show like the sexual response cycle in a very linear process. And now the newer ones, it's not a linear process,
Right.
right? Sometimes stimulation can kick libido and desire. And
100%.
right. And then sometimes libido and desire make you want stimulation. So
Right.
I love precision. Like I love that term. That is awesome. Well, we've had fun and there's lots of love in the chat for all of you. One last question. Do you currently have a podcast? Because they're trying to figure out where they can find more of you.
I don't have a podcast yet,
Okay.
but we will be working on that, right, Cheryl? We're going to be, we're working on it. I don't post regularly. I do Twitter stuff, but you know, I am really committed to doing some more of these with Pure Romance. So, you know, we welcome your suggestions. If you are excited about this and want more opportunities, more assets, just let us know. And that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Again, I'll give you that email address. If you have a question that you're having difficulty answering for a client, or maybe something about just sexuality in general in your parties that you would love to be able to surround better, it's sexualhealth@pureromance.com. And I know many of these emails are coming your way, Michael, so you're hearing
Yeah.
it right from the MD's mouth. So I'm really super excited to partner with you, and I can't wait to build out this series even more. And so we're going to be thinking, you may already actually come up with our next topic. I think bedroom accessory usage or toy usage and demystifying would be a great topic to see in the near
Yeah.
future.
And I really just want to put it out there in the universe, Cheryl, that I really want to, I want to help. I want to provide the guidance that the consultants want and need. I don't want, it's not my agenda. I want to hear from them to know what they need to better do their job more effectively, efficiently, and, you know, even with even more confidence than they're doing it right now. So I think those are things that I really want to be passionate about. I have a diversity of topics that I love to talk about, but I really want to hear from you and hear what you want me to talk about.
Awesome. Well, we will keep those lines of communication open. And as consultants come to us with, hey, we'd love to see this topic, we will absolutely build out an incredible series for everybody.
Great.
We appreciate your time and information
Thank
tonight,
you. And
Michael.
thank you for having me. It was really a lot of fun. I really
Of
appreciate
course.
it.
And we thank everybody for spending time with us tonight. And we hope that we're going to see you for the next one.
Great. Take
Bye.
care. Bye, everybody.